Tonight, you will fall asleep in a room with a locked door, a thermostat set to a perfect number, and a phone glowing on the nightstand in case anyone needs to reach you. You will not think about any of it. But 30,000 years ago, none of that existed, and yet a child could still wake up warm, fed, and loved. The real answer to what daily life looked like back then is far stranger and far more familiar than you expect. Picture a cave mouth at dawn. Smoke curls out slowly. Inside, a fire has been kept alive all night, not blazing, just breathing, a bed of orange coals someone tended every few hours without fully waking. This is a home. It has walls of stone instead of drywall, but it has zones, just like yours does. A sleeping area lined with dried grass and animal hide near the back, away from the draft. A cooking area near the entrance, where the smoke can escape. A small, quieter corner where tools get made and mended. Archaeologist Ofer Bar-Yosef, who spent decades studying Ice Age cave sites, found this pattern again and again. Early humans organized their living space with intention. They were not just surviving in a hole in a rock. They were arranging a life. Now picture a girl, maybe 7 years old, waking up in that back corner. Her name is lost to time, but her bones and the tools around her are not. She stirs under a hide blanket, still warm from the body heat of the person sleeping beside her. That person is her mother. On the other side, curled toward the fire, is her younger brother, maybe 5. Their breathing is slow. Outside, the world is still gray with early light. Inside, it smells like smoke, wet fur, and crushed pine needles laid down days ago to keep the floor from feeling cold underfoot. Why does this feel so specific? Because it is not guesswork. It is built from real evidence. Hearths found in sites across Ice Age Europe show repeated use in the exact same spot for generations, meaning families returned to the same shelter winter after winter. Sleeping areas were often lined with soft plant bedding, sometimes even treated with ash to repel insects, a detail confirmed by residue analysis at sites like Border Cave in South Africa. These were not accidents. This was comfort, engineered by hand, thousands of years before anyone wrote the word. The girl sits up. Her brother is already awake, poking at the coals with a stick until their father, sitting nearby working a piece of flint into a scraper, gently pulls the stick away and hands him something else to hold instead. This is discipline, but it is soft. There is no shouting. In a cave, sound carries, and a family that yells constantly does not last long in close quarters. So parents learn to redirect instead of punish, and children learn to read a raised eyebrow the way you read a tone of voice. Their mother stands and steps toward the entrance, checking the sky. Rain later, maybe. She says something short to the father, who nods without looking up from his work. This is the first division of the day, and it will repeat in almost every version of this scene across tens of thousands of years and thousands of miles. One parent prepares to go out. One stays close to the shelter and the children. But it was rarely rigid. Anthropologist Sarah Blaffer Hrdy, who studies the origins of human parenting, has argued that human children were never raised by just 2 people. They were raised by a shifting circle, mothers, fathers, grandmothers, older cousins, aunts who were not related by blood at all, but who loved the child anyway. This is called cooperative breeding, and it may be one of the real reasons your species survived when so many others did not. A human infant is helpless for years. Somebody always had to be watching, and it was rarely only one somebody. So while the mother steps outside to check traps set near the stream the day before, the girl's grandmother, sitting near the entrance grinding seeds between 2 stones, calls the girl over. There is a rhythm to this. Grind, pause, sweep the crushed seed into a hollow log bowl, grind again. The girl sits down and copies the motion badly at first. Nobody corrects her sharply. She is not being trained for a test. She is being folded into the rhythm of the group the same way a toddler today gets handed a spoon before they can really use one. Learning here does not look like a classroom. It looks like sitting close enough to someone you trust and doing what they do until your hands remember it on their own. Have you ever noticed how a child mimics an adult's exact walk or the exact way they stir a pot without ever being told to? That instinct did not start with you. It is ancient. It is how an entire technological tradition, stone tool making, fire tending, hide preparation, survived without a single written instruction for over 2 million years. Outside, the father finishes his scraper and picks up a spear with a fire-hardened tip. 2 other men from a neighboring shelter arrive, and the 3 of them head out together, talking in low voices about a herd spotted 2 days prior. This is not a solitary hunt. It never really was. Even Neanderthal sites show evidence of coordinated group hunting, animals driven toward cliffs or narrow passages where several hunters could work together. A lone hunter 30,000 years ago was often a hungry one. Cooperation was not a nice idea. It was the difference between a full stomach and an empty one. Back inside, the boy grows restless and wanders toward the entrance, where an older cousin, maybe 11, is repairing a net woven from plant fiber. The boy watches, then tries to help, tangling the cord almost immediately. The older cousin laughs, not unkindly, and shows him again, slower this time. This is how a 5-year-old becomes useful without ever being told he must be. There was no separate category called childhood the way you think of it now, a protected bubble of time before real life begins. Children were already inside real life. They were just given smaller, gentler versions of it. By midday, the smell of roasting meat drifts from the fire, something small caught in a snare the day before, stretched over the coals. The whole group eats together, adults and children in the same space, sharing from the same fire. There is very little privacy in a scene like this, and almost no silence either. Someone is always talking, humming, arguing gently over who gets the better piece of meat. Researcher Polly Wiessner, who studied modern hunter-gatherer groups in the Kalahari, found something striking. During the day, most conversation around the fire was practical, complaints, coordination, small disputes. But at night, once the sun went down and the real fire took center stage, conversation shifted almost entirely to stories. Myths, jokes, memories of people long dead. Night around the fire was not downtime. It was where the group's entire history and identity got passed down, one voice at a time, no book required. So as the light outside begins to fade and the hunters return, one of them limping slightly but smiling, carrying enough meat for 2 more days, the whole shelter begins to shift its mood. Tools get put away. The fire gets built up higher. The girl and her brother, tired from a day of small chores and smaller mistakes, curl up near their grandmother as the adults begin to talk. Someone starts a story you will never hear the exact words of, about a hunt from years ago, or a spirit in the river, or why the stars sit where they do. The children's eyes get heavy. Outside, the temperature drops fast, the way it does when there is nothing but sky between you and space. Inside, none of that matters. There is a fire. There is food in their stomachs. There is a hand resting on a small shoulder, absent-minded, protective, the same motion any parent makes now without even noticing they are doing it. This is the part that should stop you. Not the fire. Not the hides. Not the flint tools. The part that should stop you is how little the shape of it has changed. A meal shared. A story told before sleep. A hand on a child's shoulder in the dark. You still do all of it, just with better lighting. And tonight, when you turn off your phone and pull a blanket up to your chin in a room with a locked door and a thermostat set to a perfect number, you might think about a cave mouth 30,000 years ago, and a girl falling asleep to the sound of a story and the smell of smoke, warm, fed, and loved, in a world that had no locks at all.